level.
Brad, you are incredible. You've helped me on this journey of losing weight, getting in touch with my emotions of why we eat so much. Yes. And how it is like an emotional journey that you have to sort of uncover. And you've been sort of, I actually found you through Imagine Dragons, Dan Reynolds, is that right? Dan Reynolds and Benson Boone. And I was like, they were the internet meme everywhere of being like, God damn, daddy, like, you know, of how he went from, you know, he was looking good, but it wasn't like, holy shit, dear God, you are the architect.
I like that term, yes.
You were the architect of getting, like helping him like have this metamorphosis of, you know, I think he like went to a divorce and he had like the divorce bot. Like it's like post like, oh my God, like he's absolutely killing it. And then I think Benson Boone came under Dan's wing and then was like, you need to go to this guy. Like this is what's going to take you to the next level. And so you're that guy and you have that body. I was like, oh my God.
Hello, I'm like a Quasimodo person who's just like, wow, sir, you're so
amazing. Sorry, it's ridiculous. But this is what, I don't know if we can like zoom in on this. Can we zoom in? I mean, this is what you helped do.
So you went through an awesome transformation
totally. So I mean, this is only like probably like 15, it's like 12, 15 pounds, but like.
And you did that fast too.
No.
I was trying to give you credit there.
No. It was like, it felt like maybe like a month or two, but really it was like the struggle of my life because I had started doing a movie in July and then right before it was like crash diet, which was not working. I got so sick. I had like 103 fever while I was filming, which is crazy. But I was like, oh my God, best diet ever. I lost a few pounds. And then, but like, so it took like, I want to say, oh my God, wait, do we have the headphones? And we're back. We have headphones now.
With headphones, yes.
So you were the architect behind this. And so like in July, it cut to October of me looking that way. But it was really challenging. And you were sort of like the coach to kind of help me. Because I worked with a nutritionist and I knew how to cut weight. But it's the mental pain and anguish of wanting to like breathe into my belly, wanting to just like quell the anxiety of like, I think that there's just so much. I think Jillian Michaels talks about this, that there's just like trauma or there's anxiety of like why people like when they get morbidly obese, it's like there's like severe trauma that they haven't dealt with and you have to uncover all these things. And so it's like you can see when people like cut weight and lose that weight, then there's the sort of that like compulsion sort of, it goes into different areas. Like it moves.
It does.
So it's like the pain moves. So it's like, and I noticed that. So it's like, okay, I stopped drinking and, you know, and then it moves into food. And then I like, you know, start cutting weight. And then I'm like, I can't go to sleep. And then I'm like, God damn it.
Yep.
Talk to me about all of this. How did you get these men into like the Adonises that they are?
Well, it's interesting because on one hand, the plan is very simple. And tip of the iceberg, but it's like consistency of doing a certain thing over and over and over again for a certain period of time. So on paper, it's actually very easy. But then like you're saying, when you actually go through it, as humans, we have a lot of emotions and they kick in very hard when we try to go outside of what's comfortable. So for them, now I will say when you look at Dan and Benson, one reason why they're so successful is their mindset. And they're able to look and see, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z, so I'm just going to do it. And the thing is everybody can do that. But why people reach a certain degree of success is because of what's going on in their brain, with the thoughts that they're saying to themselves. And really I don't want to say sacrifice, but they are willing to go through that angst or pain or uncomfortability.
It's like Tom Cruise. He's willing to do like what it takes at all cost, at all sacrifice. And it's like the level of discipline that an athlete has.
That's exactly it. And I think what's unfortunate is a lot of people think they have to be like that all the time to get the body and health that they want, and they don't. Even if they're just a fraction of that, they're going to see change and probably be somewhat happy, if not content, with their health and body. So with them, it was just, you're going to eat a certain way. And inside of that, I love to look at nutrition from two different angles. The one is a certain amount. If we overeat, we're going to get fat. If we undereat, we're going to burn fat. If we eat to match what we're burning, we're going to stay the same. So again, it's simple in that, but when you start to cut, you start to get cravings, you start to get brain fog. So if you're cutting too hard, too fast, that's going to kick in a lot faster. So I like to do a small cut. And then it's quality control. You make sure you eat the right types of food so your gut is happy and healthy, so your brain works well, your cells work well, you have energy, you're able to burn fat more efficiently, build muscle, immune system, all of that. So you have that in place. And then from there, it's you just train hard. You train to a degree where you get uncomfortable, but you don't have to train hours on end. Train hard enough so your body breaks down a bit and grows, and then you sleep and recover. That's essentially, no pun intended, but that's like the meat and potatoes of the program. And then you just make sure you keep your head in the right place, because whenever you're going after something that you either don't know how to do or is challenging, that's where it gets uncomfortable, and that's where life throws 1,000 things in your faces. But like what you're saying, trauma will come up because you're uncomfortable. And we have language that we're telling ourselves that we don't realize that we're telling ourselves of whether I can't do it, I'm always going to be fat, I'm never going to be muscular enough, I'm never going to look good enough. And that all comes up when you're trying to change. And that's where most people fail, is because they believe that and go back to old behaviors.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I know just for myself, like, I'm incredibly sensitive. And I talked about this with Dan Fogler, who's an actor, and we both talked about this, that it's like sort of, there's like, when I'm heavier, there's sort of like a barrier where I don't have to feel so much. Yeah. Like, it's like when you're, I mean, like literally it's almost like a rubber tire that I'm like, I'm a Kung Fu Panda. It's bouncing off me. What you doing? But like, what's up, bitch? And like, it's just it. But then I think, I don't feel as good, when I'm not at, like, I just don't feel good in clothes. I don't feel good. But then it's sort of this feeling of like, at night where I'm like, the ice cream, I just want like a cookie, or I just like chocolate or whatever. And so and cutting sugar is like a hell of a drug. Okay. Cutting coffee, I thought, I was like, holy shit. And then I tried cutting sugar for the first time. This was like when I had rosacea. I was having like skin issues that I never had. And I was like, and so I started to eliminate working with this nutritionist, and like got rid of my rosacea and everything. But like, cutting the sugar, like I literally for like a whole week was like, I feel irritable, everything hurts. I mean, this is like what people, I guess, kind of describe like withdrawal from drugs.
I mean, it is in a sense, because when you look at sugar, so sugar's interesting because on one hand, we need sugar. We need sugar to have energy in the muscle. We need sugar for our brain. The issue is when we're overdoing it. And that's like with anything.
Because sugar's not bad. It's literally when it's out of balance and you're eating processed sugar where you're like, the Cadbury eggs,
exactly.
During Easter, forget about it. I'm like, and
100%. So it's like, it's overdoing in the system, but it's funny how it works. We have this primal system when we look at the reward system in the body. So if we think about thousands of years ago, when we didn't know when our next meal was, if we came across a high sugar, high fat meal and we ate it, it would give us this huge spike of dopamine, rewarding us to go after that more and more because we don't know when our next meal is. So we want to get fat because we may not eat for another couple days. The problem is that doesn't go away in today's day and age. And food is abundant in most, especially in this country. So we can go down the street, get that highly palatable food that's high in calorie, high in sugar, high in fat.
High fructose.
Exactly. So again, sugar and fat, not bad. We need it to live. But when it's in this excessive amount and we can get it, literally just go down the street and get it in an abundance, that reward system does not stop. So we get addicted to the food. And what we start to get addicted to is that feel-good reward system.
Yeah.
And that can occur in drugs, alcohol, partying, sex, food, sugar, you name it. So it's this baseline primal system that will never go away. And we get addicted to that rush. And the problem is that level of dopamine that starts to go up and up, which means we need more and more. Well, when we get more and more and more, we get fatter, fatter, and fatter. And now we're not moving, so we're sitting on our asses all the time, and we're not moving, and we're getting this dopamine dump without physical activity, and that's how we become slaves to this addiction.
There was this book. Oh my gosh, what's her name? I can't remember. But the Dopamine Nation, is that it? Dopamine Nation. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. I don't know if that's the name, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Can you look that up for a second? Dopamine Nation. I think so. There's this woman basically. Yes.
Dopamine Nation.
Yep.
Yes. So she talks about that you can like wean yourself, like having a healthy relationship with your dopamine and just sitting in the pain of it.
Yes.
And it's like, when I think about that, I'm like, okay, well, it's like, I want to find my husband. Like, there's all these things that I want. Like, I want to be working. I want to be successful in all these things and have a balanced life. And so I feel like in the moment of being disciplined and sitting in the pain of that, you're sort of more faced with those fears of like, oh my God, I'm 42. Yeah. Do I put my eggs on ice? What do I do? It all comes up, and then you're like, I feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you just want to feel good. And the brain is tricky because the brain does not want you to feel bad. So I know this is very cliche, but you're going to go down the street, get a gallon of ice cream, sit on your couch and watch Netflix and just feel good.
I mean, I've been there a lot.
Yeah, so it's like, but that's what it is, because the brain does not want it's a defense mechanism. And we are, that's why a part of it is not initially it's not our fault. And a lot of times when we get sucked into that circle, we really believe it's all of our fault. Now, yes, we do need to take responsibility and change action, and action comes before motivation, which is very hard. So again, dopamine is just motivation. So now we have to change how we're being without that reward system kicking in. So we get stuck in this hole.
How do you just sit in the pain of that? So sort of like what happens for me, it's like, so I was, cutting weight, and I cut like several pounds, and I was like, I'm doing so good and cutting out that sugar. And it was just like easy, like 2 weeks, I was like 3 pounds, and I'm like, look at me go. And I was just ready for the pain. And I was ready to just be like, I'm going to have a headache, cutting out the sugar and the whole thing. And I'm feeling good, like I'm cooking more, and I was just feeling so good. And then, I go out and be social, and then they're sort of like, like good things are coming. Let's have a drink. Forget that. Like if I want to like drop weight, it feels like every time I have a drink, then the inflammation comes. And then it's like I start back to ground zero. And so now it's sort of like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so when, the first 2 weeks, I'm like out of the gate, I'm like ready to go. I am, determined, and I am like ready to get that, the female like Benson Boone body. But then then it sort of crashes for a bit, because then you're like, well, I need to be a person. Like, how am I? And then it's sort of, and then you feel like all that work went for nothing. So how do you how do you move through those tough moments? Because now then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I have to, it's not starting over, but you're like, oh, it's like how, and I think it's designed that way. And I think that that's always been my journey, just growing and being a better person all the time has always been like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
So how do you move through that? And how do you like in those challenging times, I think the Dopamine Nation, Anna, what's her name? Lemke? Lemke. So Lemke, she talks about like how eventually, like if you just let the moment pass, that craving will, and it like literally, I'll be like, wow, I really want to drink. I really want to drink. And then after, I'll like, I don't know, like start cleaning or, like go for a walk, like walk my dog. And then all of a sudden it feels like it's gone. So then how do you
get through it?
How do you get through it? Those tougher moments of like, yes, all of it.
Let me ask you this first. What is the version of Susie, like the ultimate version? What does she look like? What does she feel like? What is she doing? Describe that version of you.
She's solid. $100 million Susie. So I think about this a lot. I think about like merging. So like for me, so here's the drama of like, mom died and, college best friend died. And then there was like some other issues that happened of like that got compounded of thinking that friends were ride or dies and then they weren't, and or just relationships like shifted during the last year. And so what happened was for me of this feeling, like I'm literally feeling anxiety, I'm feeling a tightness, and I think about it, and I think my father was a child of war in World War II. And he was in a collective farm, which was kind of like a concentration camp, like it was a work camp, and there was horrible things, people were murdered, women were raped, and like horrible things happened. And so the epigenetics of that, I felt this sense of like feeling unsafe my entire life. Right. So that gets compounded. And then that feeling of, oh, how am I, like I'm going to be homeless. Like the feeling like I constantly help. I helped my friend, shout out to James Cunningham, helped him get off the street. Like he has a place, and I've been constantly helping him because I constantly see myself in him of like, and that maybe goes back to my dad of being like, I was starving. We didn't have anything to eat. It was a horrible existence of being on cattle cars. And then, and so I think that sort of like those primal fears, that my dad we live in a safe neighborhood and always have to like lock the door, like not only like there hasn't been robberies in like 20 years, and he would put on the alarm system, lock the door, going like out of the house for like 5 minutes. So I was at a young age, I was told the world isn't safe, and so then, and then my mom's trauma, which is she lost so many people in her life, like continuously. And so this like, of like through death. So I think like this maybe, I don't know, maybe abandonment or whatever that is, like those two people met each other. And then it's sort of dealing with those anxieties. So it's like my mom had died like last year. And so all these things. So it was like, I can't get to sleep. I feel like I'm going to die. Like I feel like my heart's going to stop. So it's like taking a Benadryl for an entire year. I do not recommend it, but if you can't get to sleep, you're like, I don't know I don't want to take like, I don't want to take like the over the counter felt like, the other, like all the other drugs, like I'm like, CBDs, like, anything that's more natural. I mean, over the counter just felt better than, I feel like pharmaceutical drugs that, I mean, even though it's a pharmaceutical, but I mean like the more intense shit, I'm like, no, thanks.
Yep.
So I think like me just like, having trouble like getting to sleep and like then, taking that away. So now I've taken that away, but then I'm, having to still confront like those fears and the lack of safety. So it's like on the one hand, I, visualize my life all the time. I'm able to manifest like so many amazing things constantly, but I feel like these two forces that I'm trying to like surrender. I mean, I used to lock my door to my room because I was worried.
Yeah.
Like, this was in Venice. And so there were a lot of robberies. So that's actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair. So I guess it's like, there's a part of me that is so in tune with future me of like, she's solid, she's confident, she's like not worried about these fears. I'm not, it's just like things feel easy, and I feel like I'm definitely moving more and more into that. But I feel like, the Benadryl or then the food, it's like I'm looking for safety and I'm looking for comfort. And so I'm finding that. And like, I've stopped the Benadryl because that didn't feel safe at all. Like, causes like early onset dementia and all these other terrible things. And,
mess you up.
It fucks with your kidneys or something. I passed a kidney stone and I was kind of like, maybe this is a problem. So I think like I'm so in touch with future me, but also the fear base that's generational shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can just feel it. It's embedded in your body where it's like, it's there to protect you. It's there to like serve a purpose of like, remind you, the horrors of the world. So you're not like, you're prepared, but also like, that's not helping you manifest, this beautiful life. So I feel like these two forces are at play. So I think like, it's like finding balance, in all the aspects of my life. So how would you recommend going about that?
So what I'm hearing is
you're kind of like a life coach also.
That's fine. But what you're saying is the ultimate version of you. And the reason I use the word ultimate is because ultimate is like final form, is like what we're trying to go towards. That version of Susie, what I'm hearing, loves to help people and create a safe space, not just for yourself, but for your people, for your home. So if we look at that version of Susie, I'm putting words in your mouth, but there's a lot of love, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of freedom. Does that version of Susie give in to the alcohol or the food or to these short-term like vices?
Yeah, I don't think it's like I think everything is a balance. Like, I think I've gotten away from drinking. I think like the world has gotten away from drinking. We've been told a lie. And, like when I would drink, my heart would race. Yeah. And I could feel it in my body where no one talked about this. I felt like I was the only one that I'm very in touch with my body. And so I could feel like these like palpitations, or sometimes if I eat too much sugar, it's sort of the same thing, these palpitations. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I rev the engine like into the red, and I wouldn't get good sleep and I would feel horrible. Yeah. Like a whole day would be wasted. And so, so I think like it's like an occasional sort of thing. Yeah. And similarly with like, I think like sweets and stuff, like I think it's like the same sort of thing. It's everything is in balance, and it's not, I think like being too disciplined and too much like, what's his name? Brian, who's trying to live.
Johnson.
Brian Johnson, who's trying to live forever. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Huberman, I love you. I think you're great. I had a shroom trip recently, and I was like, Huberman, I was in Cape Cod. I was like, throw out the rules. I was like, what are you doing? There's so many rules. I feel like you're causing so much stress. I was like, throw out the rules. You have so many rules for yourself. I'm like, that's horrible. Yeah. What a horrible life. Like, I mean, I get it. I appreciate it if you're trying to go after something, like to be your best self. But I also think that there's within that, like if you're trying to do what Benson Boone is doing, do flips and like perform for hours and hours, like this is sort of the time of being like a pop star and to really go after those things. But if you're, it's sort of like you're trying to live your best life, I think you have to incorporate like Ozzy Osbourne. Who knew this man lived till 75? Like 76, he outlived my mother who did everything right. So I'm like, you got to throw out the rule book a bit.
Well, and see, this is my point in saying all of this is that there's no one right answer.
That's fair.
And so when we look at your best version of yourself, when you're in that moment, you're first aware, you're like, okay, something's kicking in and I want to have X, Y, and Z. You have a choice in that matter. You can, let's simplify it. Let's call it a drink. Let's call it a donut, whatever. Okay. I believe in balance. And I can't answer, yes, you can have that. No, you can't have that, because you can deserve and decide whatever you want to have. If it's in service of the best version of yourself, that answers your question.
Totally.
So for me, I know that if I give in to certain things, I call it this demon that kicks in. And I have rules for myself because I do not want to lose myself. So when I feel urges or cravings kick in, I think of my greatest version, which is he's this 90-year-old man. He's got long white hair, long white beard. He's standing on a mountain. And I'm like, Brad, what do I do in this situation? And he answers that for me. And it's either yes, it's no. So that's what I'm saying. There is no yes or no answer. So you look to your future self and decide what that answer is. And that's why I agree, when you swing to one direction or the other, super disciplined, super tight, I don't think works. And on the other end, throwing everything out the window, I don't think works either, because if you keep going down that path, you destroy yourself. So it is about balance, and now sometimes we do need to be coached along the way to find that balance. But once you know that balance and you have your own rules for yourself, then I just turn to my future self and I'm like, what do I do here? And if it is no, then I own that and I move forward. If it is no and I still do it, I accept it and I move on. Because if we keep living in that guilt is fine, because guilt is there to like teach us not to do it again.
Right.
It's the shame that we get lost in, and shame does not help.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to have this donut, I'm going to eat it and enjoy it and keep going on with life.
Yeah.
If I know eating this donut is going to potentially destroy my life, then what I do next is I play the movie to the end. So
you play the tape. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we think about that rush.
Yeah.
Okay, this donut's going to make me feel so good. But then I know in an hour I'm going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
Or
Donut will probably not ruin your life, but you're like, it didn't make me feel great.
Exactly. And that donut
maybe an 8-ball would ruin your life.
And that's my point. Like, that donut could represent so many different things. Exactly. So it's like
it did for Belushi. I think he was like his first 8-ball, and he was like, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And that's what I'm saying. But, for some people it is a donut. For some people it's a drink. For some people it is a line of Coke, So it's like, it really just depends. But what I do and what I teach is you create the best version of yourself. You have a very intimate relation and you love that version of yourself, so you can trust that version of yourself and ask it, do I do this? And, you can choose. And if you do get lost in it, play the movie to the end.
Yeah.
And I understand that's so much easier said than done, but just like anything, it takes practice. I've messed up thousands of times.
Yeah.
I can't even I've been to hell and back.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn to accept and love the demon inside me. And until I've done that, I didn't know how to live with it and how to learn these things.
Wow.
See, that's the other thing too. I think when people make mistakes and really F up, they hold on to that and they become it.
Oh,
it's like, we can't because we get lost in the past.
Yeah.
The past is there to teach us.
Totally.
But it doesn't define us.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot, whether it's you're a high performer, whether you're a school teacher, whether you're this, whether you're that, we're all human. our brains, for the most part, operate in the same way in that sense.
Do you hold yourself to I feel like I hold myself to a really high standard. So I'll I'll leave this podcast and be like, did I say all the right things? Did I ask the right questions?
Yeah.
God damn it. I interrupted him. I made it about me. Son of a bitch. You know what I mean?
I do that all the time. But I think the more you try to push yourself and grow, I think the more of a critique you become of yourself. And that can get very dicey. But I do the same thing. It's like, whether it's I'm coaching someone or doing an event or whatever it is, like when I get done, it's like, I play the tape back in my head so many times. Like, I could have done this here. I could have done this there. And it's like, it can eat you alive.
It literally, okay. So also, what you're talking about, like, I know this so well. I've done both extremes of like, because I was a former athlete, so it was 4 hours of playing tennis a day. And then it was, 2 hours in the gym. It was waking up at 5, being on the court at 6 a.m. I was doing everything that I could to be at the level, like I was, I wanted to achieve like top 10 in the country. And I did that. I won an international tournament. I was sponsored by Nike. And then there was like, the Andy, like, so I grew up with Andy Roddick and Marty Fish. And so then there's like the next level of that. And like, whatever that was, there was another level beyond that. So like I was already sort of pushing my body to nearly like breaking, and so I think, for 10 years, it was just this constant, like really high bar. You take, like for tennis, you don't have seasons off. There is no days off. There is like, maybe you get one day off like a week, like it's 6 days a week. It's every single day. And that is your life. And so I think when I quit tennis, I was like, I'm not working out for a fucking decade. I'm not even kidding. I didn't. I think I did. I didn't work out for like a couple years. I was just like, I'm going to sleep in until 12.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Because it was like the rubber band. Like it just like, I went from one extreme. I'm like, this is... Yeah. And so I feel like it is for me, it's like trying to find that balance. And so it's like, I know those extremes and like, it always goes back to balance and like being, go ahead.
No, but balance, if you think about it, balance isn't viral. So it's like whenever someone promotes balance, it's like, oh, that's boring. Like
it's that's not boring, fun. But it's so great.
It is. And that's when like, when you look at, obviously I'm in the health and fitness industry, so I'm looking at a lot of these influencers and they're pushing extremes. Some are about balance, which I really love and appreciate. But when you look at, if I'm an average, when I say average, I mean like a normal consumer, and I'm seeing like, oh, just be consistent. Do these the same exercises over and over and over again. Get 8 hours of sleep. That doesn't sound fun.
Doesn't sound fun or sexy. No.
It isn't. And so it's like when you're trying to promote that, and it's like, that's why you have individuals that are pushing steroids or unhealthy levels of peptides, or they're in extreme deficits all the time. And our view of what's healthy has been so skewed.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you look at a man or woman, like even women now, it's like a woman at a healthy body fat percentage is like 18 to 25% body fat. And when like, that is not sexy. And that's a shame because it's like that's healthy. That's how a woman should be. And then you have some of these women that are pushing like single digits or low, like 10, 11, 12% body fat.
Jeez.
And they're like, that's how they live. And it's like, no, you should be like, add 10% to that.
I remember being in like the fittest shape of my life and it was like 18% or something like body fat. And I was horrified and I was like, oh, I'm almost 20% fat. And I was just like, and I was in great shape. Like I was like ripped, but it was like, maybe it was like 18 or 17 or like something like maybe 16. I don't think so, but it was like something like that. And I was like, I was aghast and I was like, how dare you?
It's crazy. And it's
I was like,
a shame.
Honestly, like literally, like the people who were like so ripped were like 12%, like so ripped. But it just, I mean, that might have been like the body type, but it was like, I was like, that's not healthy for me.
Exactly.
Like it's like one size does not fit all is what I found is like, I have friends who are vegan or they're vegetarian or they're pescatarian. And it's like trying to enforce, like I did the vegetarian thing for like a decade and, because I was like, save the animals and factory farming is horrifying. And I get like, it's like grass finished food and, it's a very like holistic and healthy Although I do order Postmates a lot. So I guess that maybe that might go out the window. But what I found was I just didn't have like enough energy. I felt like it just, I feel when I'm having protein or when I'm having like chicken or fish, like it just, my body just feels stronger. It feels, that I can go work out. I have the energy like to go do martial arts and then do like a second workout kind of thing. So yeah, I think like one size does not.
It really doesn't. And that's what I always try to coach and encourage is like, there's 8 billion, probably more now, people on this planet, which means there's 8 billion plus different ways to do it. And now, yes, there are some guidelines that we should follow. Like, depending on your goal, there's a certain amount of calories we should eat, a certain amount of protein, fats, carbs. But even that can be manipulated a bit. Doesn't have to be super etched in stone. And I always say it's like, if you can't do it for the rest of your life, you shouldn't be really doing it. There are scenarios that we can, what's a common one is like when you look at these fitness competitors, bodybuilders, bikini models, they're just looking like that for one day. Yeah. And they do a diet for 3 to 4 months just to look like that for one day.
It's
but then
so extreme.
Exactly. But they understand that and then go back to like how they're eating. And it's,
damn.
But when I see a lot of people doing these types of diets, it's very extreme, it's very restricted, and they get burnout and then they rebound just as hard. And it's like...
That's kind of what like I would do, like... I need to cut weight for a movie, and then I would, I feel Chris Pratt does this. I feel like he'll like
he does, yeah.
He cuts weight and then he's like, fuck it, I'm eating tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's a form of eating disorder or disordered eating. So it's like, you see it a lot in the entertainment industry. Like it's bad. It's really bad.
Well, I know because it's like you have these, I was able to once I cut the weight and once I was like I was in it was just a pattern. I was in a flow, and then I felt good. And then I was like eating healthy food and it was just like good habits, and then it was just wanting to like suddenly because now it's like once you cut out the sugar, like you're not craving the sugar anymore. Yeah. And I found this out when I was like a teenager, when I was like, oh, wow, I don't really crave sugar anymore, but I'm not eating sugar. Oh, that's really interesting. I was able to kind of maintain that weight for 6 months, but then, obviously trauma happened. Yeah. And so then I was like, we're drinking tonight.
Trauma's rough. Trauma's rough.
Oh my God.
All you want to do in that period is just feel good or not feel at all.
Because, you're trying to find, here was the interesting thing. Like I alchemized my mom's death, and put it into my art and made this short film and put everything I had, emotionally, physically, spiritually, just into this, with the help of my best friends. And I'm so proud of it. And it really helped me sort of move through these, big feelings and just put it on the screen. And so it did help the process of moving through it. Like it's sort of like you have to keep going through it and you have to keep feeling it. You have to keep crying. Yep. So there would be just, how I describe it would be like when it first happened, because it was so sudden, it was like once every few minutes, I would be bawling my eyes out.
Sure.
And then, there would be like laughter for a quick second of like, elite, like just, processing. But most of it was just, I'm crying every 20 minutes. Yeah. And then the next day it was, I'm crying every 30 minutes. Yep. And then it was like, I'm crying every hour. And then it was like, I'm every few hours or every, like a couple times a day. And then it just kept, it's like, it was like a grief cup that sort of would get full and, I'd have to like empty it and just cry it all out. And then it would be empty, but it would like fill up really fast. And so now it's gotten slower and slower and slower and slower. But it can, it's like,
is tough.
Because it creates this huge imbalance and it makes so much sense because it's like, like this is something the feeling of safety is putting like comfort, like a comfort blanket of like, I want to feel safe. I want to feel safe. And like food would help me breathe into my stomach and not feel so scared. Like, am I going to die? Is someone else going to die? Oh my God. Like, you know, the sky is falling or whatever. And, you know, I mean, you know, I think we reach for food or like these like addictions, like, you know, like I had shopping like for a while of like, okay, I'm going to fill it with stuff and a lot of clothes or like, you know what I mean? And so then when I had this guy who I briefly dated, who was more of a situationship fuckboy situation, but he's like, wow, you're like a high functioning hoarder.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I'm not. I mean, I just moved from like a 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom. But it was like I was grateful for that lesson of being like, oh shit, am I? Like, you know, because I had like a lot of clothes. Like I basically came into a bunch of money and then I was like, you know, I feel like I was looking for comfort through, you know, comforting myself through clothes. And that feels embarrassing, but it's, you know, it's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's embarrassing at all because, you know, someone on the outside, if they've never gone through something like that, they don't know how they're going to go through it. And I remember going through my own version of grief and pain. And up until that point, I'm always thinking like, oh, I can get through anything. I'm this tough guy.
Same.
And then you go through it and you feel like nothing. Or you feel like there's nothing there to keep you safe anymore, or everything that you believed in was a lie, or so it's
Preach.
Yeah, and you all you want to do is either, like you said, just feel safe or not feel at all. And that's, like you say, you can turn to any, I really do think anything can become an addiction. And that's what's scary because no one teaches you how to deal with it. And a doctor will just give you a pill to get through it. And
because then you're not going after the root of the problem, which is like fear, which is like I feel unsafe or anxiety or trauma. Like, so it's like getting to, okay, exactly to your point, like who do I want to be? Like who is the $100 million me? And that's constantly, I mean, it is constantly playing my mind, but like, you know, that playing, because it's like that's what I want in my life. And so I've like started to, like, before I go to sleep, is like visualizing like all the wonderful positive things. Like instead of like, for all the women out there who watch like true crime, is really because of like, am I safe? Is somebody going to murder me in the middle of the night? Like it's like literally those like primal feelings is like women. I feel like a lot of us watch like, I'm not like, I'll watch like sometimes I will, but like generally I'm like, I'll be like, God damn, like I'm really addicted to adrenaline. Like I love it. Like I love being addicted to adrenaline, like being like, oh my God, like chaos and adrenaline and like, am I safe? Like, oh my God, he's kind of dangerous. Is he going to hurt me? Oh my God, exciting. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like this, like we want the masculine, we want a masculine man who can protect us, but not have that sword turn on to us. So I think that there's like sometimes like a misfire, but I also think like the need to feel safe, or this like we're addicted to our phones, but also like the adrenaline to like terrible things on the news. It's like another terrible thing, another terrible thing, another terrible thing. Yeah.
Well, I do think, I mean, it's just, you know, misery loves company. And I think most people are not happy with where they're at. Or they're so comfortably numb to where they're at that it's not bad enough to change, but it's also good enough that they can get by. And so when these bad things come around, it's like, oh, someone's doing worse than me. I like that. It's because it's a weird complex. Like I even remember, you know, in what I'm doing and growing, and you really find out, as we were talking before, there's like who your friends are, because as soon as you start to pass them in success, you know, they're rooting for you along the way, but as soon as you pass them, they're like, Yeah. Well, we'll see how long you last.
Oh, damn.
And so it's like, it's this weird, humanity can be very weird where it's like when bad things are going on, they're like, this is great. Like they're doing worse than me.
You know what's interesting? It's like a misfire because I always look at it from so Samantha Jones on Sex and the City. Shout out to the OG Sex and the City. But it literally resonated with me so much where she goes to Carrie Bradshaw had just written a book. She's like, honey, you wrote a book. That just makes me more fabulous.
Exactly.
Which is like saying like, you're fabulous.
Yep.
I get to go on your ride with you because we're best friends. And so I've always like being around people who are more successful because you're learning about how to be successful. Yep. Like that's sort of like the mind, like this is like the biohacking or whatever it is, or mind hacking, where it's like and I've lived my life in this way where it's like when, you know, your friends are being really successful, like that also means like you get to go to those fun parties. Like you get to be part of, like, especially if you're building things together and building projects together, you get to go on that fun ride. You know, so it's like, it's always like, you know, when I say to one of my friends where, you know, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have like, you have your Netflix special and, you know, your comedy special and I get to be there sitting in the front row. I'm like, I don't want to be a stand-up comedian, but I want to watch you do it. And I get to be like, oh, go to the parties and the fun thing. Like, I'm like, why wouldn't you want that? Yeah.
Oh, I think because we get jealous. I remember when I was younger and I was experiencing that, and I fortunately learned exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, if I want to get better, I got to surround myself around people that are better than me. But I've found myself and I've seen people around me where I got jealous and I was like, oh, I don't want them to do better than me. And that, or, you know, it's like, I want that. But because it's like, I think deep down inside, we just can't either own the fact that we're not doing what we need to do. Yep. Could be part of that.
It's like a misfire.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, oh, I want to be really successful. And it's like, instead of being like, oh, I, you know, want to have this career, but then it's like, yeah, it's showing you like where you want to be, you know, and you're like, well, why can't, like, there's unlimited, like the universe is unlimited with its resources. So it's like,
it really is. And it's, what's interesting is like the universe responds.
Yeah.
So I look at it in like a couple of different ways. One, when you make the decision to go after something you want, you start to see yourself and things in a different way that you normally wouldn't. And whether that's you believe in the universe is giving you opportunities, or you look at it, you're now seeing things as opportunities as you didn't before. However you want to view it, it's the same. Yeah. But I really think it just comes down to, it's like deciding what you want and willing to go through the pain to get there. Because I also think pain and suffering is a very valuable lesson and something we all have to go through to get to what we want.
You know what? You just helped me have a realization that I was like, I've gone through so much suffering. So it's sort of like to willingly continue to put it's like sort of like when you've gone through so much, it makes sense why I just wanted comfort, because it's like when you're not being like, oh, like worrying about 10 million things that are pretty, you know, intense. You're like, when I was just working with you and I was just like, oh, I just like, you know, life is good and, you know, everything's wonderful. and how do I lose weight? It was a lot easier, I feel, because I wasn't, you know, going through the gauntlet of like suffering and pain. Obviously, like, to be fair, like some of these really hard lessons, like you get these downloads and you get these lessons that you never would have otherwise, that you gain such a wealth of wisdom that I'm like a different person coming out of these things, like in a better way. Better way? At least I think so. I guess my voice betrayed me, so maybe not.
I would say yes. I would say yes.
Oh God, I need to eat something. I didn't eat anything today.
doing a crash diet.
I'm trying to. It's terrible. It's a terrible idea. But my voice went up. But I do feel like these lessons have been like they've been incredibly helpful, and I feel like sometimes like they, they do leave scars for sure. Like it's probably my. Yeah, I mean, but they have been some of the biggest blessings of my life. But sometimes, it's still you're sort of like, sometimes it leaves scar tissue. But I guess that's the truth of that, because I was like, oh, I guess maybe that's not true.
I mean.
Oh my God.
Scars are literally just the physical like remembrance of what not to do. In a sense.
Yeah, but then there's scars that you can't control, of like people dying or house burning down and things like that.
True, but that is an opportunity to decide who you're going to be.
100%. 100%.
Because I feel like a lot of times it's woe is me.
Yeah.
And it's like, we play the victim card.
Sure.
I've done that. Oh my gosh.
So many times. Yeah.
So many times.
But then you move through it, you alchemize it. You're like, you wield it and you're like, let me welcome this energy and then use it. Like that was the biggest lesson of my life.
Absolutely. And it's.
But going through it, sometimes you're feeling
it's
like.
Brutal.
It's fucking, sometimes.
It's very brutal.
Like you're moving through it and you're like feeling like I'm doing this so well. And then you just fucking face plant, or you're jumping out of a plane with no parachute and Skittles. Like
100%. I've done that so many times, But every time I will say though, what I've gotten to the point now, because when you think about when you're going through that, there's so much fear and it literally feels like the world's going to end. Mm-hmm. But when you go through it enough, you know that you're going to land on your feet.
Literally that.
And that. And the fear doesn't become so real anymore, because I always believe on the other side of fear is a new world waiting for you. And it's just, you have to lean into it, which again is so much easier said than done. Because I even think now some of like worst case scenarios that if they were to happen to me, like if I were to like lose everything, get another divorce, all these things.
No, sir. Sir.
It feels like life would end. And I even go through my head, it's like, would it be worth it? But then I do know, because I've gone through it so many times, I'm like, I know I'll get through it.
How many divorces have you had?
Well, no, I've just gone through one. I realize how that sounded.
You're like, I've gone through so many divorces. This is the one. This is the one.
I realized I was saying that. I was like, wow, this just sounds like I've gone through like 10 divorces.
No, but you've gone through the gauntlet of like going through. Are you sober? Wait.
Yes, I'm sober.
Wow. How many years?
Gosh, how many years now? That's a good question. I want to say about 3-4 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was, and so even with that, like, and I'm very open about this, like, of when I went through my divorce, gosh, it's been 7-8 years ago now. That was like questioning myself as a man. Mm-hmm. Is love even worth it? Like everything that I thought about love, I was like, this is bullshit. Love sucks.
dude, right there with you every time. And then every time I'm like, yes, I love it. I love that about myself. I'm also like, you go, Susie. And then sort of the part of me that goes, you're a fucking idiot. like really? You're going to open up to that guy? Really?
Oh, that's funny.
No, but like, I love the part of me that keeps.
Yeah. We keep believing in it.
I keep believing in it, and I keep getting hit in the face with it, where it's like the Kung Fu Panda, no, just, I can do it, like, it's fine, like, I love you guys, I love to be here, all is great, like, so wait, so you were saying I interrupted you, sorry.
No, but that's exactly, so I'm going through that, and that's when it was like, that was, I would say, my first real test of pain and suffering, because everything that I believed in was gone. And so...
And why were you questioning yourself as a man?
Because I thought I found my soulmate, and I was so wrong. So it wasn't so much I didn't believe in love, as I no longer trusted myself.
Yeah.
So it like, because in all honesty, looking back now, I'm like, thank God that ended, you know?
Same. Yeah. I've had a few of those.
It was just, that was not meant to be.
Yeah.
And then so going through that, like you were saying, I did not want to feel, like I just wanted to feel good. I just wanted, or to stop feeling. So I turned to anything and everything to just feel good again.
Yeah.
And that's when the addiction really, that's when I realized I was an addict.
Wow.
Because leading up to that, I was addicted to exercise. But like, it's exercise. It's fine.
No, you can totally. Yeah.
And so I didn't realize I was an addict. And so then going through that, it is crazy how much a false sense of like feeling that is. Because when you get dopamine kicks without like physical work, it'll completely take control of you. And so this aversion would come over me that I look back now as just absolute monster. And its only purpose was to go after that feeling.
Yeah.
No matter how it got it. And
because you're in so much pain. Because you were just like, I know the feeling where it's like, you know, it's like mine is a vat of ice cream.
Exactly. Mine was a pile of cocaine. You know? So it's like, it was,
let's get in some bad shit. Let's make some bad decisions and do 8 balls.
And that's what it was. So
let's do a pile of coke. And hang with Robin Williams.
Exactly. And it just completely melted who I was as a person. And so I finally got through the divorce, met my now soulmate. She is the most amazing person on this planet. Love her to death. And she put up with all my bullshit. Because the problem is that even though I got over that and I met her and we got married.
They still come up.
It's that the addict was still living in my head.
Well, it was like the fear, the anxiety. Is she going to do this to me? Do I still know myself? Like all the fears.
Exactly.
How about I just not answer any of those questions and do a bunch of coke?
But that's what it was. It was like, okay, like looking back, her and I both agree now, I should have gotten through my shit and grown and healed.
Right.
But she was with me every step of the way.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah, she's a freaking rock star. But
it kind of bonded you guys to go through it together.
It definitely did. And so I put our relationship through the test very early. I now know, we both know it'll stand the test of time.
How did you test her?
Just by lying, doing drugs, all these. Yeah. And it was so.
How did you finally own that? Because I had a relationship where I had 2 where I didn't know my reality. Yeah. Like I thought it was, you know, again, it goes back to feeling safe.
Yep.
You know, so originally this long relationship was like, I need to feel safe and I'm going to give all my power away to, you know, like a guy who has like this level of certainty and I'm going to just give it all to him, you know, because I was really young and then I sort of like, I was like, after that ended, I was like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was at all. Like, who were you? Like, who the fuck was this situation? What is my reality? Who the fuck is anybody? Who the fuck am I? Like, you know, and so you sort of question that. And then, you know, and then I jumped into another one and sort of like, and this was totally different because it was different and kind of the same. There were so many lies and eventually like, I know he's going to come clean about this. I know he's eventually and eventually he did, but then I felt like he just offered up another lie of like, hey, I'm going to kind of tell you the truth, but I can't fully own this. Cause it's sort of like, you know, how did you, so obviously that ended. And I think that there was like, he had to go on his own journey and figure things out. And, you know, but I think like, how did you deal with the shame? How did you deal with like just owning it and like, you know, being like, I'm going to take responsibility and be a man about this?
Yeah, that took a long time and many more mess ups. And it got back to, I think what finally flipped it for me is I realized no one was going to save me. And I wanted to actually save myself and love myself again.
Yeah.
And because I tried to do it for her. I tried to do it for my family, for my sister, my parents, tried to do it for my friends.
You can only do it for yourself. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And as cliche as that is, when I finally started doing it for myself, it clicked. And that's when I created the ultimate version of myself. And that is who I wanted to become. So that's why it's so emotionally attached for me when I feel things kicking in or I'm scared or I don't know. I just turn to myself now.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I get, like, I learned how to do that. And that's why I say, like, I have lived in hell. And once I realized that I was in hell, I was like, all right, it's time to own this place.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to crawl back out. And even I've had a lot of, as crazy as this may sound, but I've had a lot of conversations with the multiple versions of myself.
I have them all the time.
Yeah.
There's so many people that exist within us.
There's like a million in my head, and they're like, we are legion. But I've had to have conversations with them and be like, okay, what do we actually want?
Yeah.
Why is this version of you here? And I remember having the conversation of the addict version with me and realizing that he came in to protect me because I was in pain, and I always hated him. And I literally wanted to kill him. Wow. And until I was finally like, okay, I love you.
So that's a shadow. That's your shadow trying to protect you.
Yeah.
100%. Your shadow is there to protect you.
Yep.
Yes.
And
my inner Viking. Yes.
Exactly. And when I was finally like, okay, let's work together, I started to use that version, again, as cliche as this is, I started to use it for good. So knowing that I have this type of version inside of me, I will now focus it on exercise, on business, on growing my relationship with my wife now. I'm like, why don't you get addicted to my wife instead of this pile of cocaine?
Well, that can be codependent, so you don't want that either. You know what I'm saying? That's love addicts. You know, I went to a meeting or two, and I was like, because like at the time, I think I was pretty codependent, and I was in a toxic relationship, and it I feel like I have a slight ism. Like, it wasn't anything that destroyed my life or anything, but it was definitely like moving into mediocrity permanently, kind of feeling like that. I think, it's just like a slow erosion.
Yeah. And
so I think in the toxic relationship where I was there were so many beautiful parts to that relationship, but there was also a lot of darkness of I constantly caught him in lies, and it was hard to. And so instead of being like, hey, I don't want to be addicted to this adrenaline, cat and mouse game of let me go through your phone and let me do this. Yeah. Where did this lingerie come from? Oh no, it's in my car. What the fuck? But of believing, you know what I'm saying? I can't even believe it. But we can be addicted. And so I think that there was a bit of this I can't, this connection I can't, or this feeling of safety, or this I'll get, a feeling of safety, but then also toxicity. So it's sort of like Benadryl. Yeah. It was a relationship like Benadryl. It's, you're like, this might kill me. I don't know. This might give me dementia. Yeah. But there's in the moment, you're like, oh, I can, go to sleep and I feel, somewhat safe, but unsafe at the same time. Yep. So
it's crazy when that kicks in. And again, it goes back to this primal behavior, because for me, it's just, I really think it just comes in to try and protect.
Yeah.
And it's a very messed up way to protect. But even when you look at, again, as horrible it is, kids going through trauma, they develop either addiction or some form of, personality disorder or whatever, but it's really there
to protect
them.
Yeah.
And it's so when I really understood that and I really just accepted it and came to terms with it and was like, okay, we are all one in my head. Let's work together. Mm-hmm. It's not always going to be rainbows and sunshines. And I know, addict Brad, you're going to kick in again. But if you do, let's go after A, B, C, or D instead of Z over here.
Yeah.
So that's when I really realized that and started doing it for myself, is when things started to change.
And don't you think it's sort of like envy or jealousy misdirected? So it's sort of, it's like envy or jealousy is like being like, oh, I want to be successful and I want to, have a career like Margot Robbie. Like we auditioned for the same thing, and I absolutely love her. Like I think she's just great. But like there was a moment where I was like, like and I realize now, like had I, done like not that like I was in the running for Wolf of Wall Street, but there was a moment where like, wow, we love her. She's amazing. Da 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 da.
Yep.
So I think like, but I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't ready. I wasn't disciplined enough. I needed to kind of move through some relationships in order to feel really, really solid before you go on that crazy roller coaster of a ride. But like sort of the same thing with the shadow, where it's, like your shadow can, it's like I'm using my shadow as of late of like being like, you shall not pass. Like, no, like I'm not going to be taken advantage of, or I'm, this is not going to happen. And so like allowing, just being like tapping the shadow on the shoulder, being like, it's your turn, buddy. Yep. And then she's like, yes, finally. It's like, can I like burn it all down? Like, no, we don't need to burn it all down. So it's like the higher self, it's like merging like, human consciousness, like the higher self with the shadow, and having those like, sort of being like the higher self being like, yes, I know you want to kill everybody and, like you want to burn it all down, but we're just going to be like, so this is fucked up, and then address it, whatever, that needs to be done. And then, you let them sort of lead, and then, higher self sort of manages the whole sort of.
Well, that's, I think, the point you're saying right there, that the higher self is the umbrella of all of it. Yeah. It's when that version of you tries to step above that is when it gets out of whack.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, because I see, even myself, when I'm trying to reject that, every time I tried to reject that shadow, that demon, whatever you want to call it, it just got worse. And
so it's just integrating. It's being like, welcome. You're totally allowed. You're totally like, have a seat at the table. Yeah, we love you.
Yeah, it's like everything's going to be fine. Like it's going to be, and I mean, if you really want to get into it, like as I got into it further, the stem of it is little Brad. Like when I'm with a 5-year-old that learns he has diabetes, and now he's this oddball out and he's never going to be good enough. And I really think that's when that shadow started to protect myself. And because I remember the first time I worked out and how I felt, I felt normal. And so that's when I think it started to develop when I was a kid. Yeah. And finally realizing that, I was like, okay, you've been here all along and all you've wanted to do is protect me. You're a crazy motherfucker, but you just wanted to protect me. Yeah. And like literally visualizing, like hugging my younger self and being like, it's going to be okay. Like, we're going to get through this. You're going to be fine. You're going to go through pain. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But I know that in 90 years, you're going to be standing on top of this mountain, conquering the world. And that when I finally did that is when it all clicked for me. Because now I still get urges and cravings and triggers, but it's like, I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Just go to the back of the line. We'll satisfy this in a very healthy way. Yeah. But that is when it really like came all together for me. And it's a shame because, like I said before, like no one teaches you how to do that. But again, that's why I do think like we do need to go through pain and suffering. I don't know if it's at a younger age or whatever it is, but like, because if everything's happy-go-lucky until you're like, what happened to me when I was late 20s and my whole world just collapsed, I was like, what do I do? And it was just, it was a, flaming inferno from there.
Yeah, I recently, I was in Cape Cod and there was the shroom trip.
There you go.
So right before, there was this 93-year-old man who would, I was renting this Airbnb and it was right on the water, and this 93-year-old man would always sit on the deck that I was renting, and I'd be like, who's this guy? Why are you on my property? Like, it was ridiculous. I don't know why I was getting so territorial. Like, it was ridiculous. But I was just like, he's a sweet guy. But I was curious, and I was like, can I help you? So, we ended up having this great conversation. He's a Harvard psychologist.
Wow.
And we had so much in common. He apparently knew of my father, which was crazy. Like, because he went to Harvard. My dad went to Harvard. Yeah. He was into rowing. My dad was won the World Cup in rowing. And so it was like, he's like, yeah, I've heard of him. Like, at the,
small world.
It was so small. And I haven't met anybody randomly that just randomly knew my father, who died 17 years ago. So, God, I get emotional just thinking about it. But there was a moment when we were talking, and I came over to his house and we were just chatting more, and it just kept getting into and I was sort of mulling over some guy again. And it was sort of showing me this pain and this pattern, of wanting to be loved and feeling when did I feel not loved, and when did, and so I, went to, when I was 9, of those in really painful moments of feeling like I'm too much, or I'm, not I'm too a lot, I'm too much energy. It's so you can feel not enough in feeling too much, or too needy, or and my parents just, they had their own traumas, and they, my dad never wanted to have kids. So it was sort of this
wow.
So this pain that I had of 9, of feeling really alone and really ostracized and really God, I remember wanting to, I was toying with the idea of just putting it out there to see if my parents, I'm like, I feel like you guys don't give a shit about me, because everyone else, there's so many other people who are raising me. So it's sort of what if I just kill myself? So it was as a 9-year-old, and I realized that's very prevalent, nowadays. Yep. And I wasn't going to, that wasn't, I have such a strong will to live, but I was like, do I just run away and find a new family sort of feeling? I'm assessing and I'm testing. And then I found tennis. So it's sort of I found a good sort of addiction to attention and love, but then it became about the thing that I could do. So it was no longer about me, or, so there was positive attention, because it's usually negative attention. But this moment of this 9-year-old of feeling this intense, I'm not lovable, and that that pattern went into all my other relationships. So the psychologist was like, spend some time with your 9-year-old, and I was like, okay. So I do a shroom trip, and next thing you know, I'm like, I'm hilarious. Oh my God, my inner 9-year-old is so fucking funny.
That's great.
Fart jokes are hilarious.
Yep.
Who knew? I was like, it was ridiculous. And I was like, that's when I had the realization of Huberman, oh my God, Huberman, you take yourself too seriously. I love you. You take yourself well too. But it was
Great.
It was a reintegration of my 9-year-old, and that same sort of thing of bringing her to the party. And just,
I love that.
But it was the same. It was just, really just spending a whole night and just being I love you. And
well, I think what's so important about that is because when you look at when we are kids and before these, how do I want to say this? These other versions of us that kick in, for example, for myself, when I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I found these other outlets, which were healthy, exercise, this and that. I only loved myself when I accomplished something.
Same.
Or when I performed something.
Yeah.
And when we're kids, we don't have that. And what I think it really goes back to is learning to love yourself just because you're you.
Yeah.
Not because you are this all-star tennis player, not because you're this actress, not because of whatever. It's just you love yourself because you're you.
100%.
And that fizzles away when we grow up.
Yeah.
Because of fill in the blank of any reason. And
especially for men. Like, I think like very like alpha women feel that, or, you know, it's like they've been driven to be really successful and like, I better come home and be useful. Like if I'm not, like I'm getting kicked out of the like, you know, if I'm not adding value to this household, like.
Well, that's what it is. Like, even when I look at my marriage, I have this very distinct view of how I should be. And it's like, protect the household, bring in the money, you know, do all the manly things that I need to do. And my wife is like, you don't need to do that. She's like, I appreciate that. But she goes, I'm going to love you because you're you. Aww. And which I greatly appreciate. But she reminds me that I am this amazing person, not because of all these things that I do, just because I'm me. And I wish people had that.
Not everyone has that partner.
No, they don't.
No way. But the unconditional love that you always wanted, you're now getting. And this like beautiful, like relationships can heal, and they can, I mean, a toxic one can really like bring you down, and a really healthy one can make you more authentic. You know, you become more than what you are. Yeah. You know,
but even like being able to do that with yourself. Yeah. And that's, I think, the important part, because, you know, it's as you know, that could all disappear one day, what I have. And it's like being able to still love myself because I'm me.
I love that.
That's what if we were as a human race to learn how to do that, you know, I like so many issues I really think would be resolved. And that's where it's like, it's tough when you look at, obviously I can only speak about being a man. It's like being this alpha man. It's like, I think a man should know how to feel and be able to express feelings, but should also be a warrior and be able to fight and kill if they need to. And it's when you have this like red pill alpha male that swings so hard one way.
Andrew Tate. He's a fighter. He's a legit fighter.
He is. Yeah. And then you have the other that is just so sensitive.
Very feminine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I am no perfect male, but what I try to do is have both. Like I do boxing, I do MMA, I do train hard, I do push myself to physical limits to where I break. But then I also learn to love and sit through feelings and express how I feel. Because I think to be, again, it goes back to balance, is what truly brings, I don't want to say happiness, because happiness is just a feeling that comes and go. Contentment, fulfillment? I think it's joy.
Joy. I love joy.
I think that's what it really is. Because when I think about it, when I was going through hell, that at the end of the day, that's what I wanted to feel, was joy. When I really think about, like, if I could just feel one thing, it would just be that joyful love feeling. That's what I think balance can bring.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting, I think, you know, I think in order to go to war and to, like, you have to turn off your feminine or compartmentalize it. Like, I think, like, you know, we're evolving each year, each decade. And, you know, like 100 years ago, it was Game of Thrones. So it was like, you couldn't be like a poet. Like you want, what is it? You want to have a warrior in the garden versus a gardener in war.
Yes.
And I mean, it's necessary. So I think like there was a real compartmentalization, like in World War II, where it was like, we don't talk about it. Or never talk about feelings because you don't want to bring that up, because it was like, there weren't tools, you know, for people just in general, for men and women. And now I feel like they are. So I feel like there's been this rubber band of like, the matriarchy and the patriarchy are like, the mother and the father are so necessary. So for people to be like, it's the patriarchy, I'm like, yeah, the unhealthy, like, you know, I'm going to take it all and it's all mine and, like, you know, destroy everything. Like, yeah, okay. Like there's the, you know, you have the dark and the light of both the masculine and the feminine, and the devouring mother or the tyrannical king. So it's like, but you want it to be healthy. So it is like as like, you know, you want those parts to be both developed. Like I've definitely,
Yeah.
you know, been developing my masculine a lot more. And I feel like I developed my masculine a lot, and then I developed my feminine a lot. And they were sort of like, it kept kind of swinging.
Yeah.
And so now
Yeah.
I'm sort of, you know, reintegrating like both, so they both exist. So I can, you know, like if, you know, my Viking needs to step in and like
Yeah.
handle some shit.
Absolutely.
You know, but then also like, you know, to still be in my feminine, and because I want to attract a masculine man. So then it's like
100%,
that's
yeah.
not going to attract a masculine man. If I'm like, yo, bro, what's up? Yo, like they're not going to be like, wow, that's sexy.
I was just chopping down a tree, you know. Come on a date with me.
Oh my God. Yes. Talk dirty. Sorry. Yeah, you're married. It's a joke. It's a joke, folks. But
no, you're right. It is like, you know, because I remember when I was thinking about when I met Corey, my now wife, I was like, who is the man that I want to be? And what's funny is I'm now just becoming that man because of the hell that I put both her and I through. But I'm still learning, and I'm still learning how to have that balance. I'm still learning how to love myself, how to love her, how to listen, how to take control when I need to take control, how to be there for her when she just needs someone to listen. And it is this balance, but you're exactly right. We call it masculine and feminine energy, but that doesn't mean man or woman.
yeah, no.
It's masculine energy and feminine energy, and we need a balance of both.
Yeah. So I know we have to wrap this up in a little bit, but quick question. How would you say, so I feel like what we're getting to is like we're dealing with more of like the root problems, like of getting to like, because your body is a temple, but your body is also an expression of what's going on in the mind.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, you know, and I think like finding that balance and getting to the root of like the blocks and what stands in your way. And like sometimes it's like we'll gain weight because, you know, like I remember being like, you know, a young woman. And I know for some women, like I would like hide, and I feel like I would, you know, cover because it was a lot of attention that was like feeling kind of scary. So I think for some women, they'll just gain weight, you know, and so that was, you know, I was an athlete. So there was, you know, my sort of thing was like, okay, I'm going to cover up and I'm going to wear like lots of clothes and, you know, and have more. And it wasn't because I liked being feminine, but I wasn't leading with my feminine. So that was my way of like handling that. So I feel like there's all these ways in which we'll, you know, use food like either for comfort or either to, you know, shield ourselves or to hide. And so getting back to Benson Boone, and so getting back to Dan Reynolds, how the hell did you get, like, what was sort of like, what were the exercises? How did you get them into shape? And so obviously it was a mindset that I feel like there's something in common with anyone who reaches that level of success. It is the same thing like a top athlete. Like there's always these same patterns over and over and over. But how would you say their mindset is? Like, because like he wasn't always that way. Like Dan wasn't, you know, had a successful career, and like, what was the decision to want to do that? Yeah.
So for Dan, I remember, because we started working out for a good little bit before he took me on tour. And so I was getting to know him, you know, to know his body, this and that. And I remember when we were on tour and he said, I want to go to the next level. So it goes back to a decision. He was like, I want to go here. And that's why whenever I work with someone, the first thing we work on is a goal that will want you to transform. Because if you already pick a goal that you know how to do, you're not going to change. So it's a goal that feels a bit pie in the sky, that feels out of reach. So we created a goal and he was just like, this is what I want to do. So then once we got locked in, all the other noise just goes away. And so it's like, we look at it, it's like, okay, 100% of the time we have to be doing X, Y, and Z, and anything that's not inside of that is just noise. And we have to turn off that noise. So with the nutrition, it was about picking in the right amount of food so he could look a particular way so he could put on the right amount of muscle, be at the right body fat percentage that he wanted to be.
And also there's like nightshades and like the nightshade, like it causes inflammation. Like there's certain foods that cause inflammation and that cause like the bloating and the weight gain. And so it's like kind of like a keto without all the nightshade.
Well, so that's the gut health side of things. And you're right. To simplify this, I call it best tolerated foods and moderately tolerated foods. So best tolerated foods are the foods that 99% of the times are going to cause no disturbances in the gut. And what we mean by disturbances is bloatedness, gassiness, skin reaction.
It's like chicken,
diarrhea,
like basically.
it could be, it's actually a good amount of food, but then there's moderately tolerated foods that could be the nightshades, that could be certain dry grains, certain jarred foods, produce that when eaten, depending on the individual, can cause this reaction in the gut.
The sulfites, the preservatives. Yeah.
Exactly. And everyone's different. So like someone could eat nightshades and be totally fine.
Totally fine.
And again, it doesn't mean nightshades are unhealthy. It just means for that person, their stomach is like, hell no. So we identify that and lean into the best tolerated food so the gut can start to improve and we slowly start to feed it prebiotics and probiotics. So the gut, so the good bacteria can eat and get super strong and beat up the bad bacteria. That's essentially simplified comic book version of what's going on in the gut. As gut health gets better, we can start to reintroduce moderately tolerated foods and start to test to see which foods are okay for you. So we get that. So we did that with Dan and we found out he's good with this, he's not good with that, so on and so forth. We were a bit more extreme for a short amount of time because he had a goal on tour, which was to perform. So if it was like he wasn't on tour, we wouldn't be as tight. But we were very tight in what we're doing because the last thing we would want is for him to inflame and now he can't sing. So that is really the food side of it. And then with the exercise, he wants to look and perform. His shows are very intense. So he is
up on his feet dancing the entire time.
Exactly. So we're training power. We're training conditioning. We're training. He wants to look a certain way. So we're training hypertrophy. But it's all tailored to, again, what he wants. And then the last important piece of the puzzle is recovery. You can only push as hard as you are coming back to your homeostasis. So prioritizing sleep, making sure his blood work is on the right ranges, certain supplementation when needed, hydration. Again, food goes into recovery. So we focus on those pillars, and that is how he gets to where, that is how anyone can get to where they want to be.
Got it. And you did the same thing with Benson Boone.
Benson was a little different because I did it more online. And Benson, what he needed was an exercise program because he's younger. He was, when I started working with him, he was 21. So his gut health wasn't nearly as in a certain position as someone who's older and not.
We ran it into the red.
Exactly. So what he really needed, I did help him a little bit on food, but it was more of just like he just needed a rock solid program and he just needed consistency. He was already athletic.
Doing flips. He was doing flips then.
So it's like he didn't I just needed to make sure he had the power, the strength, and the conditioning to perform. And that's what we worked on. And I made sure that he was recovering enough and all. And again, when you're 21, you can push the pedal to the metal and you can still recover.
It's great. You can drink all the, a whole bottle of wine and not have a hangover.
Exactly. But he was very disciplined with that. And I didn't need to help him with that. He was like, he just needed a little guidance on food. And it was more so, hey, this is the workout program you need. That's awesome. He did that. I worked with him for a bit before he went on, I think, his first Europe tour. And then I helped him when it was either the US or Europe tour. I helped him through that. And now he does it on his own. He's learned what he needs to do. And is he as tight as when I was coaching him? No, but he's still performing well. He's healthy, So it's different from person. That's why it's like, I think we were talking about before, it's like, it can't be this cookie cutter thing.
No.
It has to be like, what is your goal? Let's remove the noise and stay on track.
Got it. So I feel like it's a combo of sort of like, sitting with yourself, like facing your demons and sort of just like, you know, and then combining your future self with, you know, current self, and then like merging those two together. So you're not in your own way of moving forward, of reaching those goals, because so many people, including myself, like I know if I'm really, really determined, or if I have like a film, like I can, you know, I'm disciplined enough of that athlete, you know, to just like, I can do it. But like, you know, like trying to, I think, get there when there isn't like a deadline, it's harder.
That's
and so it's
the
like,
game.
I know. And so like,
that's the game.
I know. And so, but this has been a very inspiring conversation, because it has helped me, like, you know, reinvigorate sort of like, of wanting to just say, like, kind of with Dan, of like, I have a goal, like set the goal, and then everything, like I want to get to the next level. And I think like that is getting your body into shape, and, you know, like your mind and everything, like they're working together. And I think like that is, it's also like, it's not like if your mind is all over the place, like you're not going to get your body, like it's not 100%. Happening. But like you need both. So it's sort of like,
they feed into each other.
They feed into each other.
And the reason why, this is why I say health and fitness, taking care of yourself, is a non-negotiable, is because that is what gets you through the chaos. Because when you have an anchor in hell, like you know where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's what exercise, that's what eating right, that's what sleeping does for you.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to be rainbows and sunshines all the time. There's times it's going to be so dark that you can't see. There's times it's going to be burning all around you and you're going to be on fire. But
that happens.
Yeah.
Literally house burned down. Yeah.
But if you are taking care of your body, that is what allows you to push through it.
100%.
And I would say, even so, I would say taking care of yourself physically impacts mentally, if not more than mentally impacts physically.
Yes, because you're also like, you're earning your respect for yourself of like, I have willpower. I am disciplined. I love myself. Yeah. Like it's, you know.
Because I would honestly say more times than not, I wake up not wanting to put on my shoes and go out the door. And I have to have a conversation with myself and be like, Brad, just start by tying your shoelaces.
Oh my God.
Just start. And then this is why I say action comes before motivation. I'm like, okay, just tie your shoes. All right, let's get into the gym. All right, we're in the gym. Let's start warming up. Then the mind starts catching up. But that's why it is so crucial to move. That's why it's so crucial to eat right. Because if you're putting the right fuel in your body, you're gonna have the energy to move that you need, the way that you need to move. And when you're moving the way that you need to move, then dopamine starts kicking in more.
Yeah.
So now you're starting to get a little motivated. Then you do a couple tough workouts and your body's giving you a little bit more adrenaline.
And more dopamine.
Yep. So now you can punch life in the face a little bit harder. Then you do it for about 3 to 4 months and your body can start to produce a little bit more serotonin. So now you're feeling a little bit happier, a little bit more joyful. And then you're doing this for a month to a year, and now you get more oxytocin, and now you're actually loving who you are and standing in that chaos and not being able to, you can actually trust yourself.
This is a perfect time to end. Brad, you are an absolute joy. It is great to finally meet you.
Exactly.
We've had so many conversations over the phone, but I feel like I know you. You're like my brother. So thank you.
It.
This was an awesome podcast. If you like this episode, please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much.
A whole nother level.